Hey, what's up YouTube? This is We All Juggle Knives. Well, I finally got a Spyderco Paramilitary 2. According to Spyderco, it's dark blue, but I think most people see it as purple. The blade steel is S110V. According to my measurement, the blade length is 3.45 inches. Now, this model is going to be normal production for 2016. All right, and that production run is scheduled to start in within a few months, they say. However, they did make some of these in 2015, and that's why I have this one. So if you want one right now, immediately, they do have some on Amazon. And there is a close-up of that very distinctive, typical Spyderco leaf-shaped drop point blade with the opening hole. This is full flat ground and it's satin finish. And here's a size comparison for you with the Paramilitary 2 next to the TI frame lock version of the military. And these are both just extremely sweet knives. I mean, if you only had two Spydercos and these were the two, that would still be an awesome collection. And here's a close-up of the edge. It's extremely sharp. Yeah, trying to give you a close-up without the camera freaking out, but yeah, I think you can tell, you know, from the width of that relief grind. Yeah, so as you can see, it can make the little julienne french fries and a slow cut as well. Now that G10 is fairly thick, and it does have liners in there too. So for a light knife, it's pretty strong. You know, that handle is pretty strong. You see open pillar construction. There is the pocket clip. It is polished and it is reversible. You know, you got a 4-position pocket clip. Here's the centering for those people who care about the centering a lot. It's pretty good on mine. I mean, it's, I think it's like a tiny bit over to this way, but not so as you'd even notice. Yeah, fit and finish is excellent. Pivot is smooth. Locks up decisively. Now this has what they call a compression lock. You see it right there. And it's kind of like a liner lock, but on the spine side of the knife. Right, you see that liner turns into the lock, and that liner, you see that? It moves in to lock into that notch, and you know, that locks the blade. To disengage it, you want to make sure your fingers are not right here. Alright, so that's the compression lock. And as far as the ergos of the deployment, it's pretty good. I mean, you know, for righty or lefty. I am lefty, but yeah, I mean the placement of the opening hole, it's placed correctly. You have ample room to get at it with your thumb. You see the handle has a curve to it. Right, to fit in a human hand. Thumb ramp with jimping. And the knife is built so that it's easy to angle it down for a slice or a drawing cut. It's not as good for thrusting or stabbing because, as you might be able to tell, right, because of the downward curve, a stab would stress out the lock. And yeah, I mean, it's really going directly against the lock, whereas if this were angled more and set back more, it would be going kind of with the lock. It would be harder for it to accidentally close. So not the best for a hard stab. But more on the slicing, that full flat grind is going to it's going to go right through things, just like how most kitchen utility knives have a full flat grind. It's going to slice through, slice and dice. And that tip is super pointed as well. I mean, that's a very fine tip. good for starting cuts. You might not be stabbing full force, but just for starting cuts. And overall, one of the reasons this is such a popular design is because of the ergonomics. It both looks good and has a lot of functionality. It's basically a slicing machine, and that's pretty much the most common type of cutting for most people's everyday carry, because you could slice up in a package, you could slice up your lunch, you could slice a bad guy if you needed to, slice through cordage. Yeah, overall, it's just a really impressive design. I mean, it's become a true classic. It's definitely outshined its big brother. I think this is, yeah, it is definitely way more popular than the military. Yeah, the paramilitary is the king. I mean, people start off with the tenacious, and they edge up, and a lot of people eventually settle on the Para 2. If you want to know how to design production folders, take a long, hard look at the Para 2, right? Because there's not really much on this knife that's not functional, attractive, and necessary. Now, if you're wondering which Spyderco you should actually buy as far as just everyday carry knife, probably one of these. I mean, assuming that you want to go beyond $100. From left to right, we have the Spyderco Cali and Cali 3.5, both with ZDP 189 edges. And then we have the Para 2 with the S110V, a Manix 2, also with S110V. And then we have a Stretch with ZDP again. I don't think they make that blue one anymore, but they have a green one. So in conclusion, if you're wondering why the Para 2 is considered so highly by many people, it comes down to the ergonomics of the opening, the ergonomics while in use, the fact that it's specialized for slicing, the smoothness of the pivot, how solid the lockup is, the initial sharpness, and because of how well it does in all those benchmarks, it is just a very high quality production folding knife. Having this one kind of makes me want to get the other model with the Digicam handle scales and the black blade. That thing looks awesome. But definitely highly recommended. I hope you enjoyed seeing it. This has been We All Juggle Knives. I'm out.